Hello everyone. So today I want to show you a recent small project that I did regarding the Euro Women's 25 and England, like the winners. I tried to just visualize a passing network for different teams. But I wanted to go over a couple of points as well because I tried to show you in this like a small project how powerful the generative AI and even the MCP servers can be, although I just use the really like basic minimalistic kind of MCP as like the model context protocol. I didn't use all its like tools available, but I wanted to show you how powerful it can be and by just simply providing some good documentation about the data set that we are using and some code templates that also was generated by the chats that I was going back and forth with ChatGPT. I use them as some basic structure for an agent to complete the code and give me the full code so we can go over a few points. So let me, I'm already sharing my, all right. So let me first show you the end product. This is a file and I'm gonna share them all in my GitHub and provide the link to my GitHub in the description of the video as well. So first, let's is kind of quite, this is the complete code of the visualization and passing network, all the codes like required in one full file. So this is the end product, which is just 200 lines. And it's gonna look like this when you want it. Just gonna take a few seconds and just like provide some input about like the matches that happened in the Euro and the name of the teams and with that and the date that it happened. So you can choose each of them and then provide visualize the different like passing networks. But in this one, the default I chose it was the match between England and Netherlands I create. So let me bring it figure in this page as well so you can see. So kind of the end product look like something like this. We have the title information on top left and top right about the match and the result of it. And later I show you in the code that these are actually extracted from the data set as well. So the name of the team and result, these are not just like hard coded and text or strings or literal strings. And then you can see for the both teams, like the home team and away team, you can see the passing network. And then we have the logo in between them and some legend regarding the size of the nodes or players, depending on the count of the passes they made. Also the thickness or edge between these two players also shows us the number of passes that happen between them. But I wanted to point out a few things first. So before creating this, I started like going back and forth in like just regular like chat sessions with ChatGPT, trying to come up without injecting much of my knowledge other than giving the structure of the data set that the StatsBomb like free data kind of like uses and how the columns are. And then I asked them to provide me the code to be able to see the passing networks by first like going and actually filtering the event based on the passes and then creating this like network of passes, which player made how many passes to which player. At the end, we can visualize it using a matplotlib. But before going there, so you can see the let me also open up my chat because this is the new version of Microsoft like Studio Code that they added MCP servers and everything. So you can see that by going to the View tab, you can go to the chat session or the shortcut is Control Alt and I, and I'm on a Windows session device, so it's going to be different. Probably Control is going to be replaced with the command in the Mac devices as well. So by bringing up the chat, you can see at the right side of it, we have the chat session that it says like ask about your code. And at this like bar, you can see that we have an add context that it has like the attachment kind of icon as well. And we will see what this is in a second. And then the current file, which is like I named it here, your women like 25 passing network, you can see it's just considered here that like the agent or like just the chat session is looking at the current file as well. So by adding the context, you can see that the new like popped up here. We have different options. We can open editors, file and folders, instructions, screenshot window, problem symbols, and tools. And then you can see a list of files that I have available from this like session that I have here. So in this project, I didn't use tools because generally when we have like these agents that want to create like code by modularizing everything and asking for different like agents themselves to do a specific task and returning to the result to the kind of manager agent or whatever. And we can give access to the different tools. So we can even consider like even simple calculator or whatever that these like chat sessions already have like access to. But imagine any external API or tools that you have access to, you can provide as well. But in these ones, I just like provided some basic templates for one for visualization and one for passing network. And so those were my basic like kind of files that I provided access to my agent in the chat session, and also the figure of the eventual visualization that I want to see. So I kind of like got my idea from like this figure one that I saw in Huddle StatsBomb. So you can see this was the passing network that they created the visualization for both teams. And they have one more legend than me because they have on-ball value that we don't have access in this like data sets. But regarding that, it can be a different video that you can kind of create your own on-ball value and come up with that. But if we disregard this, we have two legends, importantly, the size of the players based off the count of passes and also the thickness of these edges. So then you can see they have the graph. So it's not that much clouded because they probably have filtered some of the passes if they're less than a certain number, or I don't know, 5 or 10, they just didn't consider those edges. That's why you don't see all the edges. But in our case, we're just considering all the passes, but showing the legends is also they kind of scale in alignment with those, but it's kind of have the gist of this picture as well. And then instead of having the logo down bottom, we had kind of like put it centralized in between the plots. So I also provided this, and as you can see, there is also option that here is not there. So if you open a paint, let's say, and you have just an image that you clicked it and you like control seed it, like as copying that snapshot, you're gonna add, I guess, not the screenshot window here because you can screenshot your window as well. But if you want just a certain a specific part of your screenshot, you can kind of like open it in a paint or something and then clipboard around that specific image. And then it will give you a certain additional one that you can provide that one as well. So it adds that to the context. And one other thing you can see here is by default is on ask. So you can click on it and see we have the agent option as well. And the difference is like if you're using the ask, it's just a regular chat session that you're going back and forth asking the question from ChatGPT or any other model from this drop-down menu. And it just gives you the answers. But if you put it on agent mode, you're kind of like passing the control onto the agent or the chat session as well. So you can even ask him to like complete the code by itself after you approve of it. So first I went with the ask mode and tried to kind of like look at the code it creates every time in the before creating the templates. But in the final one, with just one simple agent click, I asked him to look at the templates that now we're going to go through, and then it created the complete like code with me, which was just mixing them together in a proper way, kind of. So you can see we have two of those templates that I mentioned, past template and visualization template here. So for visualization template, if I just run it, you can see that I'm just providing the structure of the visualization that eventually we want to see. Sorry, I had to run it again because I had the figure open. Okay. Because sometimes if you have the figure open in Python and then you run another script or the same script twice, it kind of disrupts and interrupt the program, ends it with the interruption like exception, and you have to rerun it to get the figure where I had it already closed. So you can see that the visualization template, it just like considers of there's no information on it, but the layer and the layout that I want for this visualization is like two kind of mplsoccer vertical pitches with a brand icon in the middle, and then the legends. And then later we can relate these legends and their sizes kind of linearly, so everything kind of aligns in the final product. And then you can see we have the information on top left and top right for information regarding the match results, and the name of the teams on top. So in this one, you can see that I want to actually test it to whether the agent can just work with this like simple kind of like pitfalls that he has to like consider carefully. So in this one, you can see that like I'm hard coding actually the values for the visualization, but in the, I believe in the template, I changed them. Yeah, in the template that this is just the code for passing part, we can see that we are extracting the information from our like data sets through the home team and away team from our nested like JSON structured events file. And so these are not hard coded in the eventual code as well. But one thing that I wanted to notice is like, you know that the documentation is important. So if I bring the StatsBomb data here, because I use it also minimalistically in my like MCP like context as well. So you can see if you go to the data, um, this is the GitHub like resource. I provide the link for this as well. That excuse me, to the StatsBomb or open data, like publicly available data. You can see if you go through the different like formats of the files, you have events, lineup, matches, and 360. So for example, in the oh, these are the data, but I don't know why my computer is like acting up a little bit so slow. And so if you go to the competition JSON, you can see like these are the competition that like are available generally. So the Euro Women is one part of it. We have Bundesliga or like all other like in competitions as well. So these are the structure of the files you can provide in your MCP that the files look like this. But kind of ChatGPT, I guess, have been trained kind of generally on this like the data, so you have seen it, but it might not be up to date because this like documentation changed. And one thing is like, I guess they're not even up to date on the website as well, like here as well. So you might see some discrepancies between the data you just like downloaded from the API for some reason, like matches even like Euro, but their same documents are not going to be up to date. And I guess coming in the wrong part, maybe. Oh, sorry, yeah. We were in the data documentation. So you can see in the documentation, you can see, for example, if I go to the events, which is the base data set that we actually use the events that happen through that, like all the Euro Women's games. So we can see that we have all the information here, the recent changes for the latest versions, and then you can see the format and structure of all the columns, like you have ID, index, and then type of these. So sometimes you might want to check this for the numbers. I tested ChatGPT on this, actually it knew all these numbers. So I guess it's seen like some type of this like that. For example, the event type 42 is actually a receipt bought by someone, or like the dispossessed is actually events type like ID is like 3. So we knew these things. And one particular point that it was interesting for me, I actually knew about it. It was like when I asked him to filter for the passes that happen. So you have to look at something which is called, I believe, let me see. So here, yeah. When we want to find the passes, you have to filter for something is called pass outcome, right? So if you haven't specifically worked with like a StatsBomb or soccer data, you might like come from like other different areas, like means also you would expect something like if there's a binary like column, if it's just like numbered, it should be 0 or 1 for kind of like saying that it's successful or like it was like a failure. Or if it's like categorical strings, you might even go for something like complete, successful, or happened, or whatever, whatnot. But you can see that he actually, the line that he uses, and this was the first time without me actually giving a specific like knowledge to this type of the column for ChatGPT, that what are the type of the past outcome actually that we see in the data set. But I was surprised that he actually knew that, and kind of weirdly, the successful pass outcome in this case is like empty, a string, or is kind of if is it it's an A. So you can see for other type of the passes, if it was like intercepted, or if it was failed or not completed, or if somebody made a pass that went out of bounds, like it became an out. And we have all those options, but for successful pass, which is kind of considered like as a default, this is the empty string. So those are the things that you want to always look up into the documentation, because they might not be going like kind of counterintuitive. but in this case, it actually worked. But there were cases that I had to actually give some knowledge about the structure of the results return at least one set of the records so you can know what the kind of nesting is happening there because they might change those types of things. So that was the main things I want to discuss for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna be back for more videos about like how we can turn these videos and turn this codes into another Streamlit or probably maybe even a Shiny app later, and then add filters and kind of like deploy them onto the web as well. So I see you guys later.